Ladies and gentlemen, Power is over. But that does not mean for one instant of a second that the fun is over. Without a doubt, you are here because the power is out. So stick around, because it's Powerrrout. Yeah, it's Powerrrout.
Thank goodness it's Tuesday, and Tuesday is wrestling here at Love Wrestling, kicking off the double feature of our double dose of reactions here on Love Wrestling. We're, of course, kicking off with Powerrrout with myself and Ella J, who will be with us in a moment, followed immediately by NXT, the NXT reaction in this very stream. So don't go anywhere once Powerrrout ends, just hang around the stream. But before we get to the NWA reaction, gotta thank the good people who keep the lights on here at Love Wrestling. I'm, of course, talking about our partners at Manscaped, because support for Love Wrestling is provided by Manscaped, who is the best in below the waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, which I have right here, pardon me. Yeah, so join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer that we want to give to you. Get 20% off your order plus free worldwide shipping with the promo code LOVEWRESTLING at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. And with that, let's talk NWA reaction. I am, of course, as always, joined by Ella J. How are you, Ella? There you are.
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you, Zach?
I'm doing good. I'm kind of tired of carrying the clipboard. I really was hoping I could get the hang of the ad read by now and have it internalized and remembered by rote, but it's coming along.
I mean, you got to get that lawnmower down in your brain, Zach.
I owe it to the people at Manscaped. They're good to us. I owe it to internalize the ad read a little more thoroughly than I should, but all the same, really appreciate what they do for us here at Love Wrestling. And yeah, let's talk NWA.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Before that, though, actually, how's your week going, Ella?
It's going pretty crazy. A lot of stuff has happened over the last week, both ups and downs, but I'm doing the best I can. What about you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Just in and out of lockdowns and doing what we can. I actually had my first in-person interview in, I want to say, almost 6 months, just the other day for Smark and Friends. I spoke to Green Phantom, the hardcore legend, the hardcore hero himself here in Montreal. He launched a beer at Brutopia, which is one of our celebrated bars in the heart of downtown. And talked to him all about beer, and it was a really tasty Get With the Green that he has brewing over there.
Fun. I've only done a handful of in-person interviews during NWA Empower Weekend. I'm going to be doing some more coming up at the end of next month, early April, so I'm excited to get back to that too.
Can you give us a sneak peek, or is this non-disclosure just yet?
Oh, it'll be at WrestleMania weekend. It's kind of one of those things where you don't know for sure. I mean, WrestleCon and all of that, gonna try to snag as many people as I can, and potentially some other promotions and a couple of my indie friends.
Right on. I can't believe I just completely blanked. I'm oh yeah, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That big thing that happens for wrestling fans this time of year.
I mean, I can say it is very likely I will be speaking with somebody who is no stranger to NWA, my good friend Mickey James.
Excellent.
So that I can pretty much bet on.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I am looking forward to hearing that. And so as I already said before I jumped back into what's going on this week, let's actually talk. Let's actually jump into the NWA talk. Whoever's joining us, be you on Facebook, on YouTube, or Twitch, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for talking NWA with us. We had a pretty good episode to talk about. I mean, it's got its ups and downs, but it starts off strong. We've got Matt Cardona with Kyle Davis. Cardona's looking very remorseful, very, he's very sad about what he has to say. He's saying he doesn't think he can actually wrestle Trevor Murdoch, because if he does, he's going to have to beat Trevor Murdoch, and if he does that, then Trevor Murdoch is going to quit, because Trevor Murdoch is a quitter. Of course, Cardona shifts gears from remorseful to angry and gets very aggressive. He starts patronizing Trevor Murdoch. He says that Cardona says that nobody in the wrestling business has been discounted and thrown to the side more than Cardona has, and he keeps coming back, and he's going to be coming back to save the NWA by winning the championship. What did you think of this one?
I must say, though, he does have a point. I mean, if you don't know his background, honestly, like, what are you doing? Like, obviously, he was in WWE for a good 15 plus years. And a lot of the time, yes, he was discounted. Of course, he had his moments, like with the United States Championship. Even won WrestleMania. He won the Intercontinental Championship, but then lost it the next night. So he had his moments. But for the most part, I mean, he has a valid point, except really in the last year. Before then, he really was discounted a lot of the time wherever he was, which was mainly WWE. And so now coming into NWA after being in places like GCW and Impact, he comes in really kind of with nothing to lose. And I think really brings a strong kind of, what's the word? Like, very different vibes and very different persona compared to Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch is all about tradition, and it's definitely, I mean, Cardona's also a veteran, but Trevor Murdoch feels more like that traditional, like, old school NWA style, and he's coming in here to clash with Trevor Murdoch. And of course, now they haven't faced each other one-on-one. Obviously, they beat him in that tag team match a couple weeks ago now. But I'm excited. I think this is gonna liven up Trevor Murdoch a little bit. I mean, his opponents lately, he's had a solid run so far, but I think really it's been kind of losing some steam ever since he kind of shifted away from Nick Aldis. And so now I think they're gaining momentum with Matt Cardona in there, going with him.
I agree 100% with everything you said there. Like, he can only go so much further having, he's had 2 matches with Mike Knox, both for the NWA Championship. It's got to change it up, and Cardona's the perfect guy to do it. And, we've spoken about his run as a heel in various promotions at length, but his promo tonight just added so much more depth to the Cardona character, because he's like we've said before, he's just a perfect heel for just by being Matt Cardona where he goes. He's a perfect heel in GCW because he's like antagonizing everything that they stand for, much like he's doing in the NWA. And yeah, he's got a point. So few people have been discounted more than Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder. Like, he's one of those people who, I feel that WWE actively sabotaged how over they were. Like, the crowd wanted more Zack Ryder, and he was just thrown aside of how many times. I am very excited to see him continue in the NWA. I don't know. Do you think he picks up the 10 pounds of gold at this point?
I want him to. It's just we need to see more of him and Trevor go at it, like, in person. Like, you can have that war of words for only so long. I just want to see. I just don't know how. We have not seen them, like, one-on-one together to see if they're even, like, compatible in the ring together. I feel like we have to have some confrontation, like, one-on-one between them, because Matt Cardona's kind of used Mike Knox as a shield, but we really have not seen them go one-on-one after each other. So I feel like this feud needs to be bred a little bit more. But possibly, if anybody's going to take it off of Trevor Murdoch, but also it's like keeping that tradition. And Matt Cardona, plays the heel. Like, he doesn't necessarily align with the traditional appearance, style, whatever of NWA. So I think if he were, it would kind of be maybe a new direction for NWA. So I don't know. I would be very pleased, though, to see him as NWA World Champion sometime soon.
Likewise, if it happens, I think I'd be very excited. And whether NWA pulls the trigger and moves in that direction, remains to be seen. Some people to say hello to. Thanks for tuning in, Bobby. Bobby popping in as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do enjoy watching a great match between Camille and Kira Hogan for the NWA Women's World Championship. Ella and I were speaking about this match just before we went on air. We have some thoughts about that, and we're certainly going to jump into that soon. Canadian Goose, Kyle, just found out that I have to fight UFC fighter Mitch Clark this Saturday, but I am not about to back down. If you want to see the Goose defy the odds, give me a honk, honk.
Honk, honk, honk.
Get him, Goose. Get him. Dan, thanks so much for popping by. I don't think he wins. Of course, we're talking about Cardona, but it would be a big shot in the arm for the NWA that needs it. That's very astute. Couldn't agree with that any more than I do. I think the end goal needs to be getting guys like Colby and Darius Lockhart, newer guys on the big stage, ready to take it from him. I need to see Darius Lockhart on Powerrr. I know he's been on NWA USA a couple times, but we need him on the main program. Edward Jones. Oh, no, that's just spam. That's just a spam link. If any of our moderators are over on YouTube, if you can cut that out for us, that would be very appreciated. And the Wordsmith coming in at the last moment there. It's not so late. A double feature wrestling show. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Okay, so yeah, moving on. We had a great opening promo from Matt Cardona, and we got a bit of a change up at the announce table. Austin Idol is not working at the commentary booth. We've got Joe Galley, we've got Velvet Sky, and we've got Medusa sitting at the table. First impressions, I'm sure we're going to have more to talk about with Medusa later on, but what did you think when they announced her at the commentary?
I love Medusa. She brings so much energy and experience and wisdom, but also no Austin Idol. There was also no Scion tonight. So yep. I just realized that. So maybe, did they give a reason for Austin? I mean, he wasn't out for idol management either.
I think he was there, was he not?
Was he? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, like there were a lot of
over it.
No, I mean there were a lot of bodies in the space during the two Team War matches.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's possible, that some people got lost in the shuffle, and Austin Idol might have been one of them. But yeah, we have the first of two Team War matches kicking off the start of the card. So the way these matches work, we've got 4 teams of 3 wrestlers in each team. Eliminations, it's an elimination match. You eliminate members of the team, like a Survivor Series match. Elimination by pinfall, submission, or over the top. Medusa is quick to hop on the commentary saying, I hope I remember the rules. But it's a little bit complicated to explain, but it's very straightforward in its execution. We've got Strictly Business and El Rudo taking on OGK and Victor Benjamin versus La Rebellion and Homicide versus Colby Carino and the Fixers. Now, to try to cover the action, to try to recap what we saw would be something of a fool's errand on my part. Suffice it to say, it was mile-a-minute action. It was very fast-paced. You've got the La Rebellion doing their thing, being an absolute highlight reel that they are. You've got Colby Carino and El Rudo just being absolute, slimy heels as they are, but we get to the end of the match. Let's everyone's been eliminated, pinfall, submission. At the end, we are left with sorry, I've got a few notes here. Like I said, it was a lot of action.
Matt Taven and Tom Latimer, after Taven had eliminated, I keep wanting to say Chris Masters, Chris Adonis. And then Adonis, as Matt Taven was at the top rope, Chris Adonis he should have gone to the back, they said, but he kind of pushed him off of the top rope and he fell into the middle of the ring. And then obviously Tom Latimer ended up hitting him with a pile driver. And Matt Taven.
Thank you for the save there. There was a lot going on. I couldn't even find the end of my notes. But yeah, I do like that Tom Latimer finished him off with a pile driver, because that's still I don't know if that's Latimer's proper finishing move, but it's something he's been using a lot on Nick Aldis, and that's been advancing their story. So him picking up the win on Taven was a nice little flourish to move that angle forward. But also, again, Taven was down. Strictly Business still had 2 people. Matt Taven was alone against both of them. He had to eliminate one after the other. Mm-hmm. How he eliminated I almost said Chris Masters as well. Adonis was so innovative. He was like put in the master lock. Taven jumps over the top rope and drags him over the top. It was brilliant.
And hangs on, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Bobby, like OGK is a team that I think at this point they're almost like a shoe-in and maybe an unspoken entry into the Crockett Cup. Very much hope that is the case. Yeah, and in regards to that finish, it's one thing to say Chris Adonis should have gone to the back, but you feel like a match with pinfall and submission that maybe a DQ would have caused an elimination in this Team War scenario.
Yeah, but it also in multi-man matches like triple threat or fatal four-way, there is like no. But although in the other match, so they were counting like if they got them caught in the middle of the rope, didn't they? If they caught, I don't remember like one. Yeah, because Jordan Clearwater later on had one of them in the corner in the ropes for submission, but he didn't get he cleared the rope break in time. So yeah, there would have been a DQ, even though it's a multi-man match.
Yeah, this is again, it's a first outing for the whole concept of Team War, so there's probably going to be like a few growing pains. I know they had like, oh geez, this suddenly came back to me. I know Lady Frost was involved. They had like some sort of a novelty match, and I forget the name of it, but Lady Frost wasn't allowed to use the top rope in that match. So yeah, and it was just like another example of NWA experimenting with new match types that they're not necessarily, they haven't fleshed out in full yet, Yeah.
I will say, though, I was kind of shocked at how quickly, the NWA Tag Team Champions were eliminated.
Yeah.
A little concerning. They didn't even... One of them made it to, like, maybe the final 6 when, like, Mike Bennett was still in there, but they were eliminated pretty quickly.
Yeah, and like the way the last member of their team went out was kind of like, he hit Jay Bradley, the last member of Team Colby Carino, with like a Hurricane Rana that took them both on the outside, and it was like, come on, that's your tag team champs. They should look a little better than that. Astrid, thanks so much for tuning in.
Astrid.
I'm trying to pop up the comment there. There it is. Astrid, Ed, and Cody will be popping by this stream immediately after the the NWA Powerrr reaction for the reaction to NXT. So next up, just before we get to that next match, we get a bit of the the Power Trip package, the match, the card that they're doing on the road in a few short weeks. We've talked a lot about the matches there, but the one that surprised me, we've got Camille versus Taryn Terrell coming down the pipeline, which was a bit surprising, but should be fun though. What do you think of this?
They announced it before Kiera and Camille.
Yeah, that didn't do it any favors.
Even though we kind of maybe already felt the results of that match already, they kind of announced it. But Taryn hasn't been like actively in the ring in a while, so there was no real setup to this. Unless Taryn does have Genocide and Paula Blaze to back her up, but there's been no just seems thrown together. There's been no number one contendership. These two have not butted heads in recent weeks. So there's really no setup. And now you have this taping that just aired tonight, and then you have Power Trip this upcoming weekend. So there's really no setup to it, unfortunately. Even though I think Taryn Terrell is going to be absolutely entertaining, there's no real setup.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great match, but this is not... Taryn is right now, as she's been presented in recent weeks, not at all a threat to Camille Brick.
No.
Bobby, do you think we'll see the NWA Power Trip tapings? I think we gotta. They put so much effort into this build for Cardona and Trevor Murdoch. Astrid, thank you so much for making the save. It was Mildred Burke rules match, a match I'd like to see executed a little more often in NWA. Thank you so much for taking the time to look that up. So yeah, moving on, we've got a promo from the Pope. This is the first time we've seen him since Hard Times 2. Pope thanks the fans both here and all around the world. He's got a real slow cadence to it. He's he too is very remorseful, just like Cardona was earlier on. But again, he shifts gears. It becomes very emotional, very impassioned. He talks about the uncertainty of being in the hospital for who knows long. He talks about the uncertainty of not being able to tell his loved ones when he's he's going to get better. Same to the fans as well. But then he turns his attention to the people who have been laughing at him and having fun at his expense through this dark time of uncertainty. And he says, like, you know, when the time comes, he's going to slap some tradition, some NWA-style tradition down the throats of Cardona and Knox. Payday is on the way. Holy crap. What a promo from the Pope.
Yeah, and like I said earlier with Cardona, who is kind of, I feel like, the opposite of tradition and like old fashioned and like traditional NWA, which Trevor Murdoch embodies. I mean, that right there, maybe that is the ultimate setup between that one-on-one. Obviously we've seen, Hard Times 2 feels like forever ago.
Right, yeah.
Trevor, I mean, obviously I feel like this is going to set up a tag team match and then maybe eventually lead to Cardona versus Murdoch somehow. But I feel like I said earlier, Cardona and Knox are kind of the opposite, and Pope's been doing this a while too, and Trevor Murdoch obviously embodied that tradition and like value it. So I like that he like made that point, because it kind of contrasts Knox and Cardona.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like Pope's presentation like is very it's almost like he's kind of really what's the word? Like he's really just what's the word? You know, he came in to the NWA very much like the TNA Pope, you know, like a very big character, and he still very much is. But now that he's like taken to embodying the spirit of the NWA and its values, it's just like it's such a very interesting character shift for him, and I really like to see it.
Yeah, you still see shades of like the entertaining, like over the top Pope, but I love it.
Yeah, he's a character who's really benefited from this new environment of working in the NWA.
Yeah.
And next up, a match that I would have thought would have been the main event, but as it ends up being executed, it's probably for the best that it was not. We're, of course, talking about the NWA World Women's Championship between Kiera Hogan and Camille. Kiera has the hometown support, but it's not actually unanimous. It's very split. There's a lot of support for Camille in the studio. Camille's overpowering and patronizing Kiera from the get-go. Camille has an answer for everything that Kiera tries to pull on her. Finish comes really quickly. There's a bear hug by Camille. She turns it into a fisherman suplex. Three count. It's really not the intended finish. There's a bit of side-eye between Camille and the ref. Very disappointing contest, unfortunately.
If it was the wrong finish too, they could have retaped it, because they've like retaped stuff before. So I don't know, but it like, just noting at the beginning of the match, 30-minute time limit. Like obviously there was like the intrigue. Am I frozen? Oh, there we go. So there was like
I can still hear you.
The intrigue. There was the intrigue, like the importance of the match, noting that it had a 30-minute time limit. You would have thought maybe they would have utilized that to their advantage. And then it ended up being very underwhelming in like 4 minutes. And again, it didn't, maybe that was the planned finish and they're just great actors, but like Kiera got her shoulder up right after like the ref counted 3, and Camille even kind of looked like that was not how it was supposed to go, and she did not look pleased. Again, I don't know, this could just be great acting, but just like them noting that like 30-minute time limit and then it was 4 minutes. And also like I had noted before, like this was really, I feel like, do or die for Kiera Hogan in NWA. She has lost every single championship opportunity she has been in. She's won a few on the side, obviously the number 1 contendership. She won a match against Kenzie Page, but literally in every single 4 championship, she has lost all of them. And I mean, I get it, she's an AEW talent. Maybe you don't want her to win a championship in NWA, but she's lost every single championship opportunity she's been given over the last like 4 months.
It was very disappointing. Like that and many other reasons. Like that could have been such an important element to this story, like building to this match. But I can't even really say build to this match because that was pretty much absent. We talked about it last week. You know, Kiera Hogan had a segment with Mae Valentine, and not once did Camille come up. Like, yes, Kira won the number one contendership like maybe about a month ago, but that was essentially it. There was one segment between Camille and Kira, but
And
all
I
that to
liked
say,
that. I liked
it was
that
great.
segment that was like 2-3 weeks ago with Mate talking about like obsession. I liked that because it showed a different side of Camille to Camille, who's like this very serious, very poised, and Kiera's all about the attitude. I thought it would have been like a clash of two like different. I mean, Kiera's very energetic and lively and fierce, and then Camille is very serious and like powerful, and like I thought they're two very different like attitudes and like personas. I thought it could have like meshed really well together. Like I liked that backstage segment they had with May a couple weeks ago, but it just fell flat when in the execution, and that's not their fault. I don't know again if that was the intended finish, but 4 minutes and then I just don't know where Kiera Hogan goes from here. And I get it. She's like an AEW talent. So, like, was this the end of the line? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's the end of the line, what a sour note to end on. Kiera Hogan deserves a little bit better than that because she's been a highlight for any time she's been on NWA, and if that's the end of the road for her, it's a really disappointing finish. And I hope it's not the end, but I also don't know where she goes from here. But yeah, Bobby posing the question, like, who do we want to see against Camille at Crockett Cup this year? I mean, it'd be a little strange to give Kiera Hogan a rematch, but like I wouldn't be against it. I would need a little more substance in the build going to it. Also noting he'd like to see Max the Impaler and versus Camille, and Melina versus Christy Janes. Both really good shouts, Bobby. Thank you so much for popping those in. And yeah, I definitely agree. Camille, we got to start building towards Camille versus whoever she may be facing at. Sorry.
I feel like just to match her, I feel like it has to be Genocide. But they also, unless maybe this Taryn thing and they ultimately split off and it turns into Genocide, but she's kind of anchored down right now in like the tag team division right now. But I mean, it's not like they're holding championships. And I mean, we did see that tension a few weeks ago. So maybe something with Taryn is to lead into a program with Camille and Genocide. But right now, I feel like out of all the competitors that are like active on NWA, she's kind of the only one right now that seems believable in maybe taking the champion.
Yeah, I'm really liking the work that Genocide has done, especially in that trio with Apollo Blaze and Taryn Terrell. And Camille has had a really good run. Maybe it's time to start considering bringing that run to an end and putting the belt on someone like Genocide or Taryn Terrell and just like really freshening it up. And again, like anyone in that trio, I think would be a really good choice for the next NWA World Women's Champion because they are so entertaining together. And if you put put the belt on, we'll say Genocide, like backed by Taryn Terrell and Paola Blaze, I think that could be some really entertaining TV, and NWA could really use that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say maybe Kylie Ray, putting her up with Tootie Lynn and seeming to go towards the tag team division. And we've seen this kind of little bit of a fracture with Paula and Genocide. We saw that tension, so I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess, after the Taryn and Camille match this weekend, but...
Absolutely. Exciting to see, and I really hope that they do present that in a timely manner on NWA Power, because I don't want to be subject to spoilers in the interim. But only so much we can do about that. But we move on to the main event of the evening. We've got the second of the Team War matches. This will establish the second finalist, who will be facing Strictly Business and El Rudo next week on Power. We've got Aaron Stevens and Kratos and Jedias teaming together, taking on Idolmania Sports Entertainment, represented by Tyrus, Marche Rocket, and Jordan Clearwater, versus The End and Rodney Mack versus the Ill Begotten. Again, another sure it'd be Sisyphusian task for me to try to recall the action. But essentially, like the other teams get eliminated rather quickly. The final two people left in the ring is Jordan Clearwater being the sole representative of Idolmania Sports Entertainment, while Odinson, representing The End, and Rodney Mack, has been going at it since the beginning. He's been there since the very opening contest, and The End and Rodney Mack haven't gotten into the match at all. I should also mention that just before their face-to-face between Clearwater and Odinson, Jeremiah Plunkett took the Midas touch boot by Jordan Clearwater, and he had been unconscious for the remainder of the evening. He was just lying there for about 10 minutes worth of one-on-one action between Odinson and Clearwater. Clearwater and Odinson, they have the ring to themselves for a good long while. Odinson dodges the Midas touch. He hits a side suplex, series of very unique European uppercuts. Clearwater tries to leave the ring, but he's cut off by Powerrrout and Rodney Mack. He rolls back into the ring. Odinson finishes him off with the F10, and Odinson wins by running the table all by himself, setting up The End and Rodney Mack versus Strictly Business and El Rudo next week. Main event, what did you think of this one?
Very odd. I mean, they took out Aaron very, very early, and then obviously, my God. But then we saw a stare down with a lot of the bigger guys, and then Tyrus got eliminated. We didn't even get to see Rodney Mack or Barrow in this match. Well, I mean, easy payday for them. But honestly, I feel like the most entertaining part was Jeremiah Plunkett just laying there for like a solid 10 minutes after taking that super kick. And all of that. I mean, if he really was knocked out, they would have taken him out of the match. So I don't know. It's a strange thing, but I honestly just thought it was hilarious.
It was.
I mean, a good showing too for Jordan Clearwater. He tried to evade Odinson even more, tried to eliminate himself, and went under the bottom rope. So it didn't count, and then got scared back into the ring. But good showing for Jordan Clearwater, who I think out of like his faction is kind of the most underrated or overshadowed. So I mean, it was a good showing for him. Obviously now though, the End and Rodney Mack now are going on to face Strictly Business and El Rudo. Very interesting matchup here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole team war scenario plays out in 3-on-3 action as opposed to 3-on-3-on-3-on-3. No, Parrish, no, I will not be repeating this. The team war was a bit of a word salad, and if I dare repeat it, I'd probably lose wind and pass out. But yeah, pretty good match. Very strange finish. I thought like Jeremiah Plunkett being out cold for 10 minutes was going to play into the finish. I thought it'd be something like foolish. Like,
it was so funny though.
I full on expected like, I don't know, Clearwater to trip over him and like stumble over the top rope, and
but they didn't. So no. I mean, that was good ring awareness by them. And I mean, then Plunkett got attended to after the match had ended, and we saw at the end with the referees. But I mean, good ring awareness by Jordan Clearwater and Odinson. So.
Absolutely. Sorry. Wrong comment. Hey, they're amazing. Thanks so much for popping in. Ed, good shout. Douglas Williams and Nick Aldis, they're going to be represented in the Crockett Cup, which I, too, am very much looking forward to. But yeah, interesting. I like the execution of Team War all around. I think it needs a little bit of refining to really... to be a more strong match. And I also need a little more stakes. I mean, I know NWA is based on tradition and does like an old school presentation. So $30,000 prize money for whoever wins. That's cool, I guess. But like me as a viewer, doesn't really resonate with me. But all that to say, unfortunately, aside from the NWA Women's Championship match, this was a pretty good episode, I think.
I would say so. And yes, it is the British Invasion, Dara. Coming to the Crockett Cup. I was going to say something else, but so like refining the rules. So they never said that you could get eliminated via count out or disqualification. But like I said earlier, there was a moment where Jordan Clearwater had Odinson like tied up in the ropes, and the ref was counting 1, 2, 3, 4, like to release the hold, and he got to 4, and then he released it. So it looked like he could potentially get himself disqualified, but that was never noted in the rules at the beginning of the match. So I thought that was very interesting. I mean, traditionally in like if it's like a triple threat or like fatal 4-way, whatever, there's like no DQ or count out, but it seems like there's a DQ potential moment there. So that's where I mean, that was really the only thing I was kind of confused on.
I mean, ultimately, I was just worried this was going to be another example of NWA trying something as bold and ambitious like the Champion Series, which was just a disaster in execution and planning. I'm glad to see this was not that, and I'm glad that it's going to be resolved in 2 weeks as opposed to 4. And we'll see how it plays out at the end of next week. And I am looking forward to that match, Strictly Business and El Rudo versus End and Rodney Mack. I just really hope Rodney Mack gets some substantial in-ring time. Yes, absolutely. So this has been NWA Powerrrout here on Love Wrestling, the first of 2-part double feature. You're going to be joined by Ed, Cody, and Astrid immediately after for the reaction to NXT on NXT. You can follow me on social media at Smarkmouth on Twitter and at smark.mouth on Instagram. Ella?
Sorry, I was reading Ed's comment.
What do we got here? The Champion Series was epically awful and confusing. Dude, it still haunts me to this day. I mean, I'm glad Pope is back, but I know he has some sort of reward for having won the Champion Series, and I'm worried that it's going to further muddle the waters. But let's just hope it's gone and forgotten about.
Maybe. Also, no Sal Ronaldo on this episode. Interesting.
No Sal Ronaldo. Very good point.
So I don't know. But anyways, you can follow me where it says right here at It's Ella J on Twitter. And then if you go to my bio, there's a link tree with all my links to my podcasts and Spotify and everything.
Marvelous. We are going to be back next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And once again, hang around for NXT. And Ella and I will see you next week.
Don't forget to get your manscaped.
Hello, and hold on. Forgot to hit a button.
Way to go.
To hit a button.
Just ruining the show already.
Already ruining the show. This is NXT. I'm Ed Fries, and I'm joined by Astrid Pizarro over here, Cody down here. Guys, Cody's back. Look, he lives. He's here.
I
Astrid,
didn't die. The little bacterial microbes finally decided that they would let me live.
We have Cody back, which means we can go even more off the rails than ever before. Isn't it fantastic? Aren't you excited?
It'll be just like a championship sit down.
Yeah, the championship summit was something. And we're going to start right there. Cody, go ahead and lead us into the championship summit between Braun Breaker and Santos Escobar, led by Wade Barrett.
Wait, Wade Barrett was part of this segment?
Briefly in the beginning, he was there.
We got Braun Breaker. We got Santos Escobar and Legado. We got Braun trying to pick a fight because he didn't think there was any point to talking. And then, unless you've been living under a rock for the last 2 weeks, we got what everybody's been waiting for when Dolph Ziggler showed up, because he's here to show the world. And boy, did he show the NXT world, because that was one of the best Dolph Ziggler promos I've seen in a long time. The last I can think of was the Cleveland title versus career match with The Miz in Cleveland. He cut some great lines on Braun Breaker about who are you, and you're still down here as a nobody while I have, how did he put it? I have more championships than you have days in the industry.
I think it was something like that. Dolph was on a roll, and he looked so comfortable just sitting in that chair. Didn't he, for the first 5 minutes of this promo that Dolph was in it, didn't even feel like he looked at Santos Escobar. That's how impressive he was with him and Braun.
There was one moment right after you had kind of mentioned it where I seen that he had glanced over, and he just kind of he paused what he was saying long enough that he just glanced over his shoulder where Santos was, and then refocused on Braun and kept talking. Great stuff by Dolph, but ultimately all this did was set up the surprise fourth entrant into this summit as Daddy Ciampa shows up and calls Dolph Ziggler a kid,
which has its own issues, but we'll go with it.
Ziggler's 5 years his elder, but also shows up and walks in the ring and mentions calling him Kenny, and you've got a lot of spirit, kid, which I always appreciate the callbacks and the shout outs and just the tiny little nods to Spirit Squad Dolph Ziggler. But this kind of turned the Jets on for Dolph, who turns it around and talks about, coming out to the same arena and the same 200 fans who come out every week to cheer your name. You don't have to impress anybody. And when are you going to take the helmets and the elbow pads off? And that's when Ciampa basically just put his foot into Dolph's mouth and all hell broke loose. And this was just fantastic. The crowd was chanting triple threat when it was just Dolph, Santos, and Braun. The crowd then decided they wanted to chant fatal four-way once Daddy showed up. It just, give me a triple threat, give me a fatal four-way, give me a combination of all of these guys in every different way you can. I know I mentioned that it felt like Santos was being overshadowed for a lot of this, but it all played out in the end with Santos kind of the very end of the segment with Braun where he points out, I told you I do things on my time. And this is my time. And so he was just sitting, he let everybody else bicker and feud and fight and scrap and yell and, who has the biggest gonads in the ring. And then at the end of the day, he stands up and stands tall at the end of the segment. And it was just all very well done and set up for the title match next week. It set up a Ciampa Ziggler feud potentially. There's still the possibility of a Ziggler Braun Breaker feud. It's all excellent.
Yeah.
Astrid?
I love all the mixes that we can get from this alone, and that was like one of my favorite things. Like thinking about it, it's like, we could get Ciampa and Ziggler, and then Ciampa over here, and then I love thinking about that. One of my favorite lines too, when Ziggler says, "Oh, I have so many accolades that I could be here all night and past like the end of the show because I have that many," and how he starts listing them. I love seeing him there, and I feel like I miss seeing that Ziggler on TV because we hadn't had him in a while like this on like any weekly show. So it's nice to see him bring out what he's like in these promos, and I just love that all together. So I'm excited to see what he does next week, if he shows up already or whatever they do with him next.
Dolph Ziggler here felt like he did when he was fighting with The Miz. Remember when they were doing that really great Intercontinental stuff where Dolph put his career on the line and we all thought Dolph was walking away? Yeah. And he had that miracle win against Miz to take the Intercontinental. It felt like that Ziggler was back all of a sudden. Like, think about this. At this point now, we're excited to see Dolph Ziggler cutting a hell of a promo in NXT 2.0. We're excited to see Randy Orton having an absolute ball working with Matt Riddle and RK Bro. And we're seeing Brock Lesnar being probably the best he's been since he debuted. Like, we had that early Brock Lesnar, which is really good. And then we had a week or two of beatbox Brock Lesnar where he was fantastic. And now we've gotten face Brock Lesnar, where he's an absolute delight and showing up on most shows and really being a part of everything. And these are guys who are all 40 plus, people of the 2000s. And we're excited to see them now because they're doing kind of fun things with some of these, you know, in certain aspects, younger guys. Like Brock and Bobby Lashley isn't exactly younger guys, but Bobby has years ahead of him left if he wants them. And it's just nice to see all of this. But in this segment, the "you don't go here" from Santos Escobar, when he just finally got sick and tired of listening to everybody. And Cody even said it like he said in our Slack chat, where like Santos is literally getting buried in this segment because everybody's focused on everybody else and nobody's paying attention to Santos. And at the end of the day, Santos uses that as part of his character and his gimmick, and it works perfectly. A situation that on any other show on WWE would have made Santos look like a forgotten thing, and Santos would have been basically written out of the segment and walked away while the other three were going at it. Ends with Santos standing tall. Now, granted, I don't think he's winning the world title next week, but I mean, like you guys said, Santos versus Ziggler, Braun versus Ziggler, Braun versus Ciampa versus Ziggler versus Santos, Santos versus Zolf versus Braun. Like, there's no bad combination of these four guys going into Stand and Deliver.
Yeah. No, like Stand and Deliver is still a ways out. I mean, going into Vengeance Day next week, we've got the lines drawn there. Yeah. But we've also now got a lot of other moving parts going on. And what this really made me think, the way Ziggler called out Ciampa like he did, and the way Ciampa reacted, it has me believing that this could be how they get Ciampa to a main roster position. I don't want to see it as a WrestleMania match. I would much rather it be an NXT match. But Ciampa versus Ziggler on the show of shows for Ciampa's debut in a WWE ring is a hell of a way to go about it.
His second debut.
I mean, ish.
He had that.
Most people by this point have forgotten about that tag match.
Yeah. The one tag match, which ended up screwing up his neck so badly that he needed to walk away from NXT for over a year. But Astrid, we started the show with an absolutely fantastic match. So why don't you go ahead? Because I know that you said you wanted to talk about this. So we got the Creeds versus Grizzled Young Veterans.
Yeah, I was really excited for the match because, like I said, the past 2 weeks, the Creed brothers in this tournament have been so great, showcased and highlighted for me. I thought they were okay before, and I'm enjoying them even more with these matches. So seeing them tonight, I love the back and forth they had. What happened with the slingshot to Brutus under the ring, that was so brutal, and how he was selling it and showing it through the whole match. I loved it from beginning to end, and the double team moves, everything, even for the finish. I was so glad that they won the way they did because it was so well done. And I love the presence they're giving us so far, and the way they just portrayed them to us the past 2 weeks has been exactly what I wanted from them from the beginning. So I'm really excited not only for this, but seeing them versus MSK next week for the finals.
Yeah, GYV. GYV. I love GYV. They were fantastic in this match. It made me feel like the GYV of old, and I really enjoyed that. The Creeds in this match really made me feel something. Like, I felt for the Creeds. I was excited for them. When they were in Powerrrout, I was like, oh, come on. Like, I really felt it. That shot where they slingshotted him into the underneath of the ring. Like, I've helped deal with ring stuff and stuff like that at a couple of independent shows when I was living in Wisconsin. That metal hurts. Like, you can't gimmick that. It helps hold up the ring. There's no gimmicking that. So when they slingshot him into that, I'm like, ooh, that's a bit of a brutal shot. I loved this match. It was hard hitting when it needed to be. It was back and forth when it needed to be. The Creeds got all the shine that they needed. They feel so far away from the team that started in NXT when they were doing their squash matches, and they felt like nothingless, characterless, random people pulled off the street and put into wrestling singlets and were like, here, go have a wrestling match.
See, but I was never on that page, Ed. I felt that gimmick and I felt that attitude and that personality from them right from the start. And I know you and I kind of had some back and forth on that, where you didn't see it. And I really felt like they just had that chemistry between them where they felt like brothers. And I was loving it right from the get-go. And I understood that the squash matches were just there for them to find their groove. And now that they've found that groove and worked their moveset in with their personalities, I feel like it's just gelling so well together.
Yeah, and they've come so far so quickly, and I'm so excited to see where they go from here, because they've transitioned them from what I thought were going to be badass heels in a heel faction to working as legit baby faces in this match and feeling every bit of the babyface feel that you need when your baby faces are in peril and trying to get that tag, and one guy getting beat down. It was really good. 15 minutes commercial free.
Mhm.
We'll talk about the commercials as we go, because they really pissed us off with the commercials tonight, more so than they normally do, because they went 15 minutes commercial free here. But this match was fantastic, and I want more of this, because these creeds are great, and these creeds are getting ready to go up against Imperium, and I'm very excited for that match again. Like I know they have MSK next week. That's fine and dandy. I don't care about that. I want the next one. MSK. It's going to be a fun match next week. It'll be great. I don't care. I want the next match. I want the match with Imperium.
That match will be so good next week with MSK. The contrast of styles there as well. I feel like Diamond Mine has hit an interesting point right now, though. I've talked a lot about my theory that Roddy is on his way out. I feel like they've just reached that natural transition where the crowd in Florida has just turned the corner on them and gotten really behind. Malcolm Bivens and Diamond Mine have not really changed their approach at all. I think the fans have just recognized the work ethic and the personality of the wrestlers being presented to them and appreciated it for what it is. And it's been so natural to see them slowly coming around and start appreciating the Ivy Nile and the Creed brothers. And I mean, we all have always kind of appreciated what Roddy Strong does in a ring. And I think he's really rubbing off on those other three. And it's been a great project for him to be involved with putting those three over in the end of the day.
And I mean, I don't want to sit here and be somewhat negative, but does anybody really miss Hachiman? Like, I don't even notice that he's gone.
No,
that's how little he had to do with this group and all. Like, I don't even notice that he's not there anymore.
On screen, sure. I wonder how much he had to do backstage with getting him prepared for this position, though. That he was brought in, he did his job, and then they're like, hey, we don't need you anymore.
Like I said, Cody's absolutely right. I would be interested to see what that is. But like, I'm talking about like on screen as, the coach of Diamond Mine and the pounding the mat. They've gotten to the point where they don't need it, and I don't miss it.
Yeah.
But before we get ready to start talking about all of things of NXT, we're talking about hitting your groove. And give me one moment. Because, Astrid, hold on. I got all these buttons. All these buttons. But Cody, you and I know that support for NXT and for Love Wrestling is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping when you use the code LOVEWRESTLING at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Cody, you've gotten yours. Don't you love it?
I do. I love it. I've been enjoying the ease of use and the functionality of it, how it's made life and grooming a lot easier to manage on a daily basis. Obviously, you got to keep those jewels taken care of, and it just makes, instead of a tedious task to try and fight and rip and tear and nick and cut, it just makes it a smooth 2 minutes in the shower to just take care of myself and keep it looking and smelling good.
And then you got, like you said, you're smelling good. You got the crop preserver, you got the crop reviver, you've got the ability that it's, like you said, you can use it in the shower, and it's waterproof for about 30 minutes. You've got the ability that you can use it wherever. You have that nice light. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, the crop preserver and the crop reviver have also been a lifesaver. I've dealt with chafing issues in my life. The crop preserver has made that almost a non-issue. The crop reviver, if you ever need to just, sprinkle it up, spruce it up, take care, and you got a fancy date coming up tonight, just a couple little sprays, she'll be well impressed.
Yeah. And remember, you can get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code LOVEWRESTLING at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Astrid, welcome back.
Hello.
And speaking of plugs and everything like that, it's a bit of a tough transition, but we're going to go ahead and let Astrid take the big screen as she goes ahead and talks about whatamaneuver.net.
Well, if I can find it here. Oh, yeah, this is here. My new shirt! It looks awesome. So if you can go to the What a Maneuver website, you can find the Between Two Beers shirt and the Love Wrestling shirt and the Pride one, which all the proceeds go to Trevor Project. And you can find my shirt too. So if you guys wear our shirts, tag us. We'd like to share them on social media, so let us know. So that's mine.
Get
And
your
again, you
natural
can find
shirt
that
now so that we can beat B2B, because our wonderful natural Astrid. Wait, wrong side. You switched on me yet. I had it figured out. Our wonderful natural Astrid here is, I mean, how can you not support that?
Just look at her. Don't look at me.
Yeah, that one. There, I got it. It's over here. Right there.
Remember, you can find that at whatamaneuver.net/collections/love-wrestling-ca. So thank you to What a Maneuver. They've been fantastic to us, allowing us to put up all kinds of new stuff, getting our stuff out there so that you guys can have awesome stuff to wear, awesome stuff to see. It's just so much fun, and they are so great to deal with. Remember, if you want other Love Wrestling stuff, go to lovewrestling.ca/shop. You can find the wonderful Sunday brunch mugs. You can find the fanny packs. You can find the tumbler that Zach was drinking all show on Powerrrout. You can get that at lovewrestling.ca/shop. Getting back to NXT, because we all love. We then got the Telemundo segment of the week. I'm sorry. I this segment was really cool, and then all of a sudden I sat on my remote or something, because all of a sudden it went SAP on me. I don't know what happened. So Cora Jade was, it did. So Cora Jade was out here, and she was doing this nice, cute little promo. Oh, I'm so happy. Last week I didn't get the win, but it's okay because I went ahead and I got the respect I wanted. And now me and Raquel are going to do all kinds of great things. And then Leon and Perez come in, and they start the segment in English, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. I can get with this. And then all of a sudden they started talking in Spanish. I'm like, okay, it'll be a line or two. Cora's going to go, I have no clue what you're saying, and it's going to be okay. No, they just kept going. And then Raquel came in, and she was talking in Spanish. And I'm like, I literally put in the Slack chat, I'm like, Astrid, WTF is going on here? I don't know what's happening. I've lost all control of this segment.
Well, what'd you do without me here?
And I love how this segment ends with Raquel going, nobody gets to call you that but me. And she walks away, and then she's like, yeah, see, she's got, wait, what'd they call me? Astrid, can you give us some idea as to what the hell happened here?
So I think Valentina started it, like saying like congratulations on like having Raquel as your partner, and then Julissa is the one that took over. And basically, I went back and I looked at it, so I could type it at the same time. They said, we have a lot to prove. You and Raquel have competition, though. We know you guys are the favorites. And then that's when Raquel comes in. She's like, who are you calling Love? And she's like, I hear you tell us that we're not ready for this. And he's like, Love, you're looking at a tag team with more experience, which is what Julissa tells her. And Raquel says, like, oh, you have experience. And why don't you just, let's go to the ring now and let's see the experience that you have instead of waiting a few weeks for the Dusty Cup. So they just keep like bickering back and forth in that part about having experience, and that's when Raquel runs off and with Cora at the end.
What did they call her at the end? That Raquel's like, nobody calls her that but me.
The only thing I heard was that she always called her love. She always called her like mi amor this and mi amor that, and I'm like, okay, this is like the sweetheart line that Sasha does all the time. But that's what I could hear from the bickering, because at the end they bickered so much I couldn't pinpoint everything that everybody was saying.
Cody, did you have any thoughts on Cora Jade, Raquel Gonzalez, and the promo that we got? I mean, obviously you understood every word of it, so I should have gone to you first.
Yeah,
but
for sure. I got it all. Absolutely. No, it was something to set up. Obviously, these two are going to have to meet up at some point in the Dusty Cup for this to make any real sense. It's just the foreshadowing, setting up, since they don't have the teams all in place yet. So they got to keep the female Dusty Cup in mind while they try and scramble to make sure they've got teams ready for it to actually go ahead as planned.
And speaking of the females tag teams and Dusty Cup stuff, we did have, as Bobby points out, Lash Legend was on 205 Live on Friday with Fallon Henley wrestling against KT Squared. And we'll talk about them later. And I'm still not happy. Still not happy about this.
And you just need to appreciate love, okay? It's Valentine's Day. Loosen up.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
We'll see. We'll see. We then got, speaking of love, we got Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany loves herself a whole hell of a lot. And we get the recap from last week with her coming out and throwing the credit card in the ring and whatnot. But then before the match, now the match is supposed to be for the credit card. Like, it was advertised all week, including this afternoon on Instagram, was advertised for the credit card. And they go, no, we're just going to go ahead and throw the credit card segment away and just say, hey, we used the credit card for all it was worth until the credit card got canceled. And I'm like, then why does Tiffany want it back if the credit card's been canceled? It's useless at that point. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
She didn't know Daddy had canceled it on her.
Also, hi, Conrad. Appreciate it. Anybody wants to go check out Conrad, he does some excellent work. So go check out Everything Pro Wrestling on YouTube. They are fantastic. Yeah, I mean, she's getting better and better in the ring every week. Like, that first match, there were a couple spots that I was like, she's young, she's green, it'll get better. She looked really good in this match. I didn't see half as many of the Wendy Chu type spots that we normally get from Wendy Chu. She seemed to take this match seriously, which was nice. Cody, your thoughts on this match?
Still doesn't look like anything like a Cassidy to me, but that's neither here nor there. I enjoyed it. It was kind of what we both thought was, or all thought was coming last week when she got the credit card, that she come in and haven't gone on a shopping spree and bought herself new pajamas. And apparently she bought herself a donkey. At some point in the match, Wade Barrett was mad that she bought a donkey, but would have been okay if she used Tiffany's credit card to put a down payment on a house.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. Come on, Wade.
No, the Wendy Chu stuff's fun for me. I enjoy just kind of the sleepy time and her music. I mean, coming out to a lullaby is just fantastic. Tiffany's looking good too, though. Her finish in this match, I said it in the Slack that it reminded me similar kind of look to a Starship Pain. Not the same move, not the same setup or anything like that. Just the jumping, spinning out of the corner. If she was doing it split-legged, it would be a Starship Pain. So I enjoyed it. I mean, should it be a long-term finish for her? Probably not, but it's good as something right now until opponents start kicking out, and then she can find something a little bit more impactful. Obviously, this was probably just a one-off feud for them, but I think it was good for both of them to get out and get into something a little bit more developed than just the squashes that we get.
Astrid, I mean, I know how much you love Wendy Chu, so.
You're true. No, I love the move that she does. I don't know what it's called, but she just slams on the person like this. I thought it was so cute when she does it. But I like how Tiffany's like cartwheel was a lot better this time around than it was during her first match. So you can see the improvement in that already. But yeah, I like having them both together. Just it gives them some experience with their characters on TV. So it's nice to see them like that. Yeah, the only thing I wish I would have filmed a little bit of that shopping spree with her and Amari, because that would have been interesting to see. Like, no, we're gonna get a donkey. We're gonna get like sleepy wear or whatever, a sleepwear or whatever it is. So that would have been a little bit more fun to give us like a different kind of location for like video packages that you did with Trick Mello later on. But that's something that I wish I would have done. But other than that, yeah, I like the match was fun, and obviously it was just like a quick thing for them.
Dara Amazing has a question, and I think I know the answer for everybody. I'm going to throw it up because I think it's funny. Is Wendy Chu going to be the 6th member of that Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia?
I just want Wendy Chu to be sleeping on top of the chamber. Just as it lowers from the ceiling, you just see her up there with her sleeping bag and her Slurpee. And
yeah, this was a fun, quick match. You know, I don't like Starship Pain as a finish for John Morrison, let alone a lesser than version for Tiffany Stratton. I'm fine with it. I was like, that's going to be her finish. I'm like, okay, I guess. Like, it comes off, like, at least John Morrison's comes from the top rope, and then it's a springboard off the top rope. You know, a bottom rope jumping sort of Starship Pain. She's getting better. At least she didn't botch that backflip, the spot that she does, which is really, really good. I think she does it better than everybody except maybe Kelly, because Kelly does a really good version of that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see her gymnastic skills really paying off there. We then got a .com exclusive with Draco Anthony, where he was talking about how he didn't like that he came up short last week. Ironically, it was at this point in the show that I realized something was missing from this show, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, because I thought it was funny that it was missing from the show, and it was at this point that I noticed it wasn't going to be there. And then Joe Gacy comes in with Harland, and he's like, don't worry, people are here for you. We're here to listen. And I'm like, oh no, Draco, no. Draco, don't go with Joe. No, Draco. But no, you want to know what segment I noticed was missing when I saw the Draco Anthony stuff here? Wasn't Andre Chase supposed to challenge Von Wagner this week? God. They didn't mention it. They didn't show us any clips of it. It was completely Thanos from the entirety of this episode.
It's like we have no memory of it. Forget it.
They won't remember it. Let's just keep moving. Draco Anthony,
God.
he's great. Watch Draco Anthony over here. Hey, we brought Dolph Ziggler. Forget everything about Andre Chase supposed to being with Von Wagner.
It worked. I forgot about it.
Yep. It wasn't until I saw Draco Anthony and they were talking about how disappointed he was that I remembered that was the point where he lost to Andre Chase, and then Chase challenged Von Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Wow.
Didn't even remember that much of it. I just remembered him debuting and losing. But then again, I try to wipe most things Robert Stone from my mind. So
Bobby wants to see Tiffany Stratton versus Alexa Lopez. I want to see Tiffany Stratton with some of the more talented women in the women's division for a little while. I want to see her wrestling some of those girls that have the ability to call the match and to be the ring generals, and to just give her some reps in there.
Just don't put her in the ring with the real ring general.
I mean, maybe Tiffany and Walter might be fun. I don't know. I mean, she's not Ginny, but maybe Walter will take a shine to her too. I mean, she has money. Maybe Walter's daddy.
Oh my God.
I mean, I know Ciampa's our daddy here, but maybe that, they're amazing.
No, thanks.
We then got Pete Dunne in backstage talking about how he's about to face Draco Anthony, but he's doing a promo when he's talking about Tony D'Angelo, and he's talking about how he's ready for the cage match next week. And he says, it's funny that Tony D'Angelo has been missing from social media and everything else. It must be hard to type with your fingers broken from a cricket bat. Then Draco Anthony does this really cool thing where it's like, hey, I respect you. I'm a babyface. Come shake my hand. And I'm like, all right, Pete Dunne's a babyface, but he's kind of an arrogant babyface. He'll at least shake his hand or do something. No, he essentially tells him to go piss off, that he has no time for him, and walks away. And I'm like, that's not nice, Pete.
Yeah, I'm still gonna break your fingers.
So then we get into the thing that really pissed. Well, it irritated me. Astrid didn't like it a lot. And Cody hates it because Cody's in Canada and doesn't see the picture-in-picture ad breaks. But we got the match starting mid-match. Mid-match starts during the picture-in-picture ad break. So we criticized WWE and NXT last week for having Draco Anthony come out with no music and no nothing last week and just being in the ring for his debut match on NXT with Andre Chase.
Yeah.
This week, he doesn't get a nameplate. He doesn't get music. He got an entrance, but we couldn't tell because they were selling us Pizza Hut and asking if I can be like Batman and telling me about, yes, and about 65 times talking about Astrid and Lily saving the world.
Well, at least we know why Lily abandoned Alexa now.
Yeah, we do know why Lily, because she has to go save the world with Astrid. I'm trying to click on this, but I'm getting email notifications, and I need them to stop so I can click on the comments.
This one?
Yeah, I'm trying to click on Joe. And I finally got it, and Cody sent it away. All right, here we go. Joe, howdy. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully everything is well with you. Dara talking about our last thing. Gunther's about to chop her daddy. All right. Will Ivy Nile have a tag team partner for Dusty Classic? Maybe. Sure. The Dusty Classic's not till April. I'm assuming after Mania. So we got plenty of time between now and then to do that. But it's very possible. Pizza is better than Draco now. According to WWE, all they want us to know is that Draco Anthony exists. They don't want us to like him. They don't want us to think he can wrestle. They don't want us to think anything other than, hey, remember this guy exists.
It says conspiracy.
It's part of something else. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Peace, love, and equality.
Joe, we love it. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you had a good night at work. So this match happened. I'm going to skip all that to go to the end where Pete Dunne's about to do something on the outside. Tony D'Angelo comes and tries to hit him with the crowbar. He misses. He tries to distract him. Pete Dunne gets the win. And then Tony sneaks up behind him, gets hit once or twice. And then the really confusing part was Pete Dunne starts throwing a ton of weapons in the ring. But Tony D'Angelo is already out of the ring and on the apron like, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back. And I'm like, this is stupid. Pete, come on. Why are you wasting everybody's time throwing these weapons in the ring? He had a very, very good reason for throwing all the weapons in the ring. Because we are getting a weaponized cage match next week. And I am so excited for that.
My favorite topic. Thank you, Parrish.
Yes, thank you, Parrish. We greatly appreciate you joining us. We greatly appreciate that I'm your favorite person on this panel, regardless of the big star over here and everything else.
You're glossing over so much in this match, though, Ed. So much happened in this match.
Sure. A lot happened.
Had Dunne and Draco, but you also had the Gacy and Harland in the Eagle's Nest throughout.
Oh, I did.
Draco having the advantage for a large portion of it until he got distracted looking up at Gacy, where Dunne took the momentum back. You mentioned it during the match, right around that same point, actually, is when you brought it up in the Slack about they want us to know who he is, but clearly they don't want us to care about him. But you said it, and it was right around that same time that he got distracted looking up at Gacy and Harland. And it made me think that we're potentially setting him up that he's going to join, and that's going to become a newer faction idea is, the right to censor thing with Gacy. I know Joe Gacy tweeted out that he was really happy to see Ivory and the right to censor represented in the Rumble this month.
They brought it up last week in his match. They were talking about it. Wade was.
Yeah, so that's all well and good, and then you have the Tony D'Angelo coming out trying to hit. You had the weapons being thrown, but he got the choke in, and then as he had done in the chokehold, Dunn grabs the choke out and snaps the fingers again too. That it just set up a lot of different storylines here. You've got the Harland Gacy Draco stuff, you've got the Dunn and Tony stuff, but you've also now got possibly something to come back to for Draco with Dunn. You've got Dunn and Gacy crossing paths, Dunn and Harland crossing paths, that you could have Harland show up and do something to Dunn to kind of prove to Draco that they're on his side. There's a lot of different moving pieces that I actually appreciated the stories that intertwined in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept thinking about how much I was impressed by Draco because I went back and watched the 205 Live match he had and how much I liked that. And I, was impressed by a lot of the things he did in this match, but it's obvious that I'm not supposed to care about all the wonderful things he does because he's not important enough to get an entrance. Like his entrance is literally mid-picture-in-picture ad break. Like, if there was nothing, we literally thought there was nothing worse than on your NXT debut last week, where Astrid of all people ranted about how silly it was that he didn't get a nameplate and he didn't get an entrance. And then all of a sudden this week, it's all in the ad break. Oh, Ecto Guy, thank you for joining us. Did anybody? No, nobody showed up.
No, there were no showstoppers on this show. None at all.
Nobody tried to steal the show. Nobody tried to, bring it on. Nothing.
No, there was a lot of spirit in this squad.
There was a lot of spirit in this 2.0 squad. Astrid, your thoughts on Draco Anthony, Tony D'Angelo, Pete Dunne, Harland, Gacy, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of what Cody was saying, like maybe he'll join in with Harland and Gacy, because obviously, like I said last week, it's too much of a coincidence that his debut, we don't get a nameplate, no entrance, and then now he gets it during the ad break. I was like, telling you, it's a CEO conspiracy against Draco. That's what's going on. But yeah, just like they want to show us like a new talent, but they don't really put his name on it while it happens. So it's like I knew that was something weird about it, so I was waiting for it, and then like tonight gave me that answer about it. And having like Pete with the weaponized cage match, so that will be interesting for next week at least.
This weaponized cage match, we're expecting this to be like the one that Moxley and Jericho had, right?
Yeah, but hopefully better.
Will it have a plant?
I mean, no, Mitch will obviously not be making an appearance.
But does Mitch have any relatives?
I highly doubt it. I think that the key weapons.
Maybe Mitch has a Nikki or a Kenny that can be hanging up there.
I don't know. Hey, Caddy.
It's Dolph's first or whatever with Chavo when he was Chavo's caddy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember that now. The jokes are all still coming through, as we all know. No one tried to show off tonight.
No.
Yeah. But no, Sean Cena has an interesting point. Cody's already, kind of brought it up and said it. Do we think that if Pete loses, I'm going to add the if. Do we think Pete loses next week and that's possibly his send-off from NXT? I don't.
I don't think it's a send-off. I think Pete loses. I think Pete lets Tony go over here. That this feud ends with Tony being made the star, and then Pete moves on to something else. At this point, we're seeing Ciampa finally make that move, but Ciampa and Dunn have been so insistent for so long that they're happy in their position in NXT and aren't really looking to move to the main roster that I would be surprised if it's a send-off.
Yeah, if I expect anything like that, I expect it after Mania, but not before Mania. So I don't see him. If he does leave, it'll be maybe after Mania. But if he doesn't, I don't see him like leaving like that.
And also, I'm just going to put it out there because we are the NXT show. If the rumors are true about where Stand and Deliver is on the Mania weekend card, I am going to be absolutely effing livid.
Yeah, I'm already upset about it.
If Stand and Deliver is actually on Saturday afternoon at 1:00 before Mania, I am not going to be a happy camper.
Nope.
Because that's going to be one long weekend then that I'm not ready for. because that means a watch along on another channel. It means coming on here with you guys and doing a post show, hoping that we can get that done before Mania to get Mania in. I mean, it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yep.
That being said, speaking of pain in the asses, we had Zoe and Io backstage because this thing will never effing end.
Was not sure where that was going. I thought we were going into another ad break or something.
Nope. Because so Zoe and Io backstage, and Zoe's trying to convince Io Shirai that she needs a new partner, and finally she does. And Io says she knows exactly who to ask. And at this point, I put in the thing. I'm like, Saray makes a lot of sense. And then I threw out a curveball. I'm like, would she ask Asuka? Like, Asuka was expected to return at Rumble. Didn't do it. Asuka's been expected to return in the next couple weeks. Possibly the sixth person in the cage at Saudi Arabia. But she hasn't. I'm like, is Asuka maybe coming down? Do a quick run down here with Io Shirai? Have some fun and then go back to the main roster for a Mania build? We do later find out who Io Shirai is apparently planning on asking, which is fun.
This was kind of a running theme through the night in our chat, though, was me just, is this who Io's going to come out for?
Yeah.
What about this person? Is this who Io's coming out for?
No, Ecto. No, we are not doing 12 hours of coverage on Mania night. No, I refuse.
I need my sleep, okay? I can't do that.
We then had LA Knight come to the ring to face Sangha. But first, we have to go backstage because, of course, that crappy gimmick can't go away either. So they really, really didn't like us with the commercial breaks because this is one of the other things that we've been complaining about for weeks on NXT. So we get the backstage with Wendy Chu coming backstage, and Dakota's sitting there looking through her clothes, like muttering to herself like she's been.
Her shopping spoils.
But it's not the same. Like, so Dakota stuff has been for the past, 3 or 4 weeks, been all about teamwork and teams and it destroying your friendship and your happiness. And I didn't get it why she was here with this one. Like last week, she was really confusing because she was doing it with Saray, talking about how Saray's grandma and not going to love her or something. Like, this Dakota thing's fallen off the rails really quickly. Like the first couple weeks, it was great. It was MSK, and they're like, no, don't even bring that crap here. No, we're positive people. You can't bring that crap here. And then she was talking to, who was it that was next? It was one of the women's tag teams.
Was it Piper and Indy?
It might have been Persia and Indy.
Yeah.
And
Persia,
then,
not Piper.
yeah. No, Piper. Dewdrop is on Raw.
Yep.
Sorry, Dewdrop's on Raw. Where did Piper go?
Piper is unfortunately not available. Io's partner will be
on
real.
an island with El Generico?
Saving orphans from fires and things like that. So then we come back from the Wendy Chu promo, which actually did make sense later on. They tie it all together. They've done a really good job this week of really confusing me and then making it all make sense in the end. Then we got Sangha.
Who?
And yeah, no, we know who Sangha is. I can never remember his name because every time he's on the screen, unless they say it, I keep trying to type Grayson's bodyguard.
Me too. That's what I say.
But we unfortunately get WWE infesting NXT with, you know how to beat a big man? Make him run into something. We saw it with Braun Breaker. We've seen it with Goldberg. We've seen it with all these guys. Sangha runs into the turnbuckle on the outside. LA Knight kind of gets the advantage. He gets distracted later on in the match. Sangha runs at him in the corner. LA Knight gets out of the way, hits his head on the turnbuckle. LA Knight gets the pin, and then he goes ahead and gets jumped by Grayson.
Hits his head on the exposed turnbuckle because Grayson took the turnbuckle pad off and then made sure he got caught doing it so that Sangha could do something, but only ended up getting poked in the eye.
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't good.
I mean, LA Knight was good.
LA Knight's always good. LA Knight's fantastic. This, on the other hand, yeah. So LA Knight,
I'll give it a pass for being Sanga's first match.
So LA Knight gets the win, and then Grayson attacks him. So LA Knight defends himself, and we later find out from Grayson Waller that he's going to have LA Knight arrested. But no, he's not going to do it tonight because this is the night that he violated the restraining order. No, he's going to retroactivate it to next week so he can arrest him next week on the big show, which gotta love WWE and wrestling in general where this bullshit can actually happen and sort of make sense.
Dolph Ziggler or not, wait, not Dolph Ziggler. Grayson Waller.
This is not Dolph Ziggler.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler 2.0.
Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts on Senga and LA Knight and Grayson Waller?
I just want to throw out one thing because as weak as this match ended up being, it has been a very big year already for Indian wrestlers. And I'm loving that we're getting such an influx. Like Jinder Mahal and Great Khali were kind of the trailblazers of it. We had a little bit with the Bollywood Boys and Davari that kind of came and went. But we had the debut of a new Indian wrestler, first match in Impact last week. We have Raj Singh doing things down there. Rohit Raju's been down there for a while. We've got Jinder and Shanky doing things on the main roster. We're getting regular promos for Veer showing up. It's really, really nice to see kind of that cultural expansion within the wrestling industry. And I hope for Senga's case that he develops and he becomes something to be reckoned with here. But even if he doesn't, I think it just shows how far we've come that we're seeing such an influx in the wrestling world as a whole for Indian culture.
And if anybody wants to see more of the Indian culture on display, on the WWE Network, there is a show from last year that they taped when they were just transitioning out of the Thunderdome, and they had that Indian Spectacular show where they had a bunch of main roster stars working with a bunch of bigger named Indian wrestlers who may not be signed by WWE. And there were some fun matches on that show, and I believe it should be on the network somewhere. So if you go through last year's shows, it'll probably be on there. But you're right. Indian wrestlers have come far and away, and we all make the Veer jokes because, God, this guy's been coming for so long, and he's going to be tired, and he needs to make sure he keeps up with his Manscaped if he's going to keep coming so long. But no, Senga and Veer were the Indu Share boys before Senga got busted for spoiling Keith Lee's big moment on the tape show where Keith Lee became a double champion and got put in the doghouse. We then got the most confusing promo of the night until later on in the show. And I apparently was the only one who was confused by it. So I say it was the most confusing, but everybody else saw where this was headed. And I'm like, I don't get it. Why did he do this? So Duke Hudson has this great promo package backstage where he talks about Dante Chen and how Chen was going to call him out, which I don't remember supposed to be happening on this show, but great. I can't wait for Dante Chen to come back. I know he's got the knee injury, and I know that it's probably kayfabe now since they're, still teasing him and Duke Hudson. And Duke goes on, he starts talking all about this. And then he calls out Indy Hartwell, and he's like, good luck in your match next week. And I'm like, he's supposed to be flirting with Persia. Why did he call out Indy? And Cody's in the chat going, well, obviously it's a love triangle. I'm like, but no, it doesn't make sense. Indy has Dexter. What's going on here? Well, this is silly.
It's a love square, like you said.
I mean, at this point, it's turning into a love pentagon, but
Is it No Fear? Is that Romano?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Speaking of Indian wrestlers having a big year, I mean, can we talk about the NXT year of the Aussie? I mean, we had Rhea Ripley last year having a big start, but we've got Indy and Persia right now. We've got Duke Hudson, Jonah killing it in Ring of Honor and in not Ring of Honor, Impact.
Mhm.
And I believe he's in New Japan too, right? He's on
Yeah,
New
he's
Japan
been on Strong and he's been on Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. Duke Hudson, Grayson Waller, talking about all these Aussie wrestlers. The Aussies are really making their mark too, and it's nice to see.
Iconics, you've got Tennille, you've got
but they've been doing that for
Shane Thorne. Like, we've got Australian wrestling as a whole is just killing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, but some of those, the Shane Thorns and the Iconics and the Inspiration and Tennille Dashwood, like they've been killing it, for the Aussies for the last 5-10 years. But this new crop of younger, yes, I miss Buddy Murphy. Buddy Matthews is doing no, not Impact. He's doing New Japan, right?
I think he was doing some New Japan, yeah.
Supersonic, hello. So we got Duke Hudson causing trouble, which we'll come back to later. We then got the Toxic Attraction Vengeance Day promo, which I think is great because it doesn't highlight any matches, it doesn't highlight anything on the show. It's literally a promo for Toxic Attraction where they talk about Vengeance Day. Cool. We then had the Santos versus Braun Championship Summit, which ended up being the four-way goodness of everything that's going on between Daddy Ciampa and Dolph Ziggler. We had KLR doing her Rage Room promo where she goes ahead to swing at a whole bunch of stuff and misses about half of them, and then tips over a table that hasn't been swung out already of the same items that hadn't been broken and tips them all over. It's the little things with these stupid promos. Like, they do this and it just irks me to no end that like they did those two different shots where they reset the whole shot, and it just irritated me. And I don't know why I noticed that in this entire promo. We then get Grayson Waller leaving and saying that LA Knight's going to be arrested next week. And I'm like, great. Because I know that when somebody violates my restraining order, I want to wait a week to arrest them.
Or, when you violate the restraining order, but they respond, that still counts to arrest them, not you.
Yeah. I mean, you put yourself within 100 feet of them, not the other way around. We then got
Sailor Moon.
Yeah, we got Saray versus Dakota Kai. And I feel really bad about what I'm about to say. My entire notes for this match are Saray versus Dakota Kai, blah. Yeah.
Amazing.
I didn't like this. I didn't feel this match at all. For somebody who's so touted as Saray is for all of the work she's done before she got here, and as great as a wrestler as Dakota Kai is, and we've seen, for some reason, this is not the first time that we've had Saray versus Dakota Kai where I've gone, I don't like this.
Saray impressed me. And maybe it's because I know I said it here in our Slack as well. I watched an entire day of Stardom Wrestling today, and I was my standards for women's wrestling are always higher after a day of watching Stardom. Watching Saray and Dakota Kai in this match, I could pick up on how Saray has kind of that Joshi style where she can get up to speed and velocity when she needs to. It felt like she had to hold back for Dakota. Dakota had a really, really bad scorpion kick attempt at one point where she basically reset and tried to do it again, and Saray just stood there and waited for it. Anytime Dakota was doing offense, it felt like Saray had to wait 10 seconds for Dakota to get into place. But there was the one spot that really sold me on Saray when Dakota was sitting on the bottom rope and Saray came full velocity and jumped and just smoked her. And I'm like, that is what I want from all of my women's wrestling, is for them to all look like they're going all out and actually hitting each other. I don't want them to have to kind of slowly maneuver into position to hit a move and then get back up and maneuver back into another position. I want it to flow. I want it to be fast. If accidents happen. Ultimately, the men do it just fine. I want the women to get to that level, and I've seen it. I'm starting to see more of an impact, but just my love for Stardom Joshi Wrestling has set that bar exponentially high on what women are capable of, and I want the American women's scene to reach that level and these women to just start being confident to do what they've got to do.
Yeah, what he said. I'm not even watching Stardom, but I completely agree with everything Cody just said. I couldn't say it any better. Like, I love Dakota. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Saray's had some fun matches, and that drop kick is great because it's the same drop kick that changed Mandy Rose. If you don't, for people who don't remember, we had the goddess Mandy Rose with the blonde hair and everything else, and it was this kick that made her the demented brunette that started Toxic Attraction. It was that kick. It's just, yeah. I mean, Sonic has it right. Dakota needs to go up to the main roster. I really think she needs that talented roster up there to work with and just start working with all those women, working with the Charlottes and the Sashas and the Beckys and, you know, the Baileys and hell, working with Natalya, working with Tamina, working with Bianca, Rhea, all those fantastic talents up there. I don't want her down here anymore. I want her up there where she can make a name for herself.
Ultimately, seeing her in this match, I feel like she fits that speed of the main roster women a lot better too. That she probably would be able to put on, you know, what counts as a good Raw or SmackDown match at this point, because I don't expect anything more from an Aaliyah or a Zelina Vega or a Liv Morgan at this point, because they all work slow and methodical in that, like, and I think we're reaching a point where the women in developmental, the Ivy Niles and the Tiffany Strattons and the Wendy Chus, are working a different, faster style now too, that I want them to be able to work with more people like that and for them to all develop together.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. We then get one of my favorite and least favorite segments of the night because of one thing that Cody said that really brought the segment down for me, but also made me love this segment as much. We have Trick Mello in the barbershop. And this was great. Like, I thought this was great. But I'm gonna put it out on Front Street, the one comment that Cody said that turns this whole segment around, which is Mello shows up to the barbershop, and until the guy says, all right, are we going to get down to cutting the hair, doesn't take off his hat.
Nor did Trick, though. Like, Trick's there, too, and takes off his hat at the end, too. Like, when he's like, hey, are we going to do this? And I'm like, why are both these guys sitting in a barbershop wearing their hats? Like, are we going to cut hair here, or are we just sitting in a barbershop to talk wrestling? Which, I mean, I'm fine with it. It just reminds me of Cedric the Entertainer, but...
Yeah, I was going to say, it reminded me of watching the barbershop, and it reminded me of that feel. And it felt cool, and it felt different. And it felt like something that they came up with. Like, I could see Trick and Mello being like, hey, I want to do this backstage thing, and I want to get my buddies here, and I want to do it, like, you know, in this style. And it's filmed completely differently than anything else that's on NXT. And it had a different vocabulary, and they were talking in their own way. And they kept bringing up Ollie J. They need to get rid of this Ollie J bullshit.
I was like, I don't want to remember that performance, please. I just want to erase it from my mind. I can't.
I don't even care about the performance. The performance isn't as bad as just constantly bringing her up. Like, they're pairing her with Carmelo, and I just don't want it.
It's probably part of, like, the contract of them using her music that she has this ability to just be part of the show.
I don't want it.
Throwback, I agree on Tommaso being a measuring stick. I will die on the hill that Io Shirai should be that female measuring stick, not Dakota.
Absolutely. Io Shirai is the one that's currently down there. If we're talking about all-time NXT women's measuring sticks, it's Asuka.
No, I'm with Throwback here on who is the current.
Oh, the current measuring sticks, yeah. Absolutely. It's definitely Io. But yes, Throwback, thank you for joining us. Anybody else have anything more about the Trick Mello? Any particular lines that anybody liked in this Trick Mello show?
I mean,
the accolades part where he was just naming the accolades, like, oh, did you see Cameron Grimes' Wikipedia? He's like, he has none. That part was, yeah, I love that.
It made me laugh because it brought me back to last week and me and Astrid's discussion on the accolades of Mandy Rose. Cody, you missed this discussion, but do you remember that segment from last week's NXT?
No.
So Kaylee Ray's in the ring, and she's going on and on about how she's the 600-day women's champion in NXT UK, and how she was the forever champion, and she's won titles here, there, and everywhere around the world. And she's like, Mandy, your accomplishments are kissing Otis at WrestleMania and falling down.
Yeah.
And Mandy Rose is like, no, I have all these accomplishments. And it's like, I've been on these wonderful magazine covers, and I've been like part of like 7 worldwide campaigns for marketing. And I'm like, you've what? Like, yes, but no.
I do just want to throw out back to the barbershop comment though, or the like barbershop segment. What this segment reminded me of was, I don't know if either of you were ever part of the scene, but back in the early 2000s, there was the internet e-fed wrestling scene, and everybody writing like role-played promos in like paragraphs to send back and forth, cutting promos on fictional wrestlers. This reminded me of something that you would see written in one of those things where the wrestler's just sitting in a barbershop with his buddies, and the guys along the wall are like, oh, yeah, Grimes, it's that To the Moon guy, right? Like, that's what this reminded me of, was some guy sitting in his basement cutting a promo on a fictional wrestler on an internet website in 2004. That guy in the basement may have been me.
But the thing is, like, it felt so natural to them. Like, this whole segment, like, we talked about the authenticity of Hit Row, or for one last time, Hit Row. And we had Legado del Fantasma and all the fantastic stuff that they were doing earlier on with the masks and all the luchador stuff and all the authenticity of some of these things. And this felt authentic to these two guys. Like, they came up with it. They're the ones who filmed it. They grabbed, and I'm going to say, because I'm going to assume this is who it was, they grabbed Jeremy Borash because it feels like a Borash segment. And they took him and they're like, look, this is how we want to shoot it. This is who we want in the segment. And like the one guy, all right, I'm going to crap at the segment for one thing. There's the one dude who needs to get the better deodorant because it left like the little white strip on his arm. And every time they went to him, he like put his arms up and I could see it. And I'm like, dude, just put your arms down. Because like it had like the white there. And I'm like, no, put your arms down. I get caught up in the stupidest crap in these segments.
You really do. Like you're getting caught up on like one botch in a match and ruining the entire match. One camera botch, like, yeah, I saw them hide the pipe under the ring and it just ruined the realism.
So then we have Indy Hartwell backstage and she's talking to Dexter and Astrid's heart grew 3 sizes as they were talking about going ahead and getting in the tub and having a bubble bath.
On the cell phone. Just let's be clear. She was talking to him on the cell phone.
Yeah, she was talking to him on the cell phone because he wasn't here tonight. And she was telling him when she gets back, they're going to go ahead and curl up in the bubble bath and enjoy a night. And then Persia comes in and she says, who are you talking to? Duke? And she's like, no, why would I be talking to Duke? And he's like, well, he wished you good luck. He didn't wish me good luck. And I'm like, this is why that all happened. Good job, NXT. Because I literally wrote in the Slack chat earlier when Cody was explaining this to me, and he's like, love triangle. I'm like, okay, I get that, but bad NXT. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, this is okay. This is better.
Duke just being a jerk and like playing devil's advocate and screwing around with people's relationships, friendships.
This also could be, and I'm just throwing it out there, what if we start seeing Duke hanging around with the Toxic Attraction girls?
Yeah.
That's another idea I had, because they walk in and they start, needling the fun. And they have an old picture of Indy Hartwell and Duke Hudson, who apparently used to hang out. Now, granted, the picture's probably like 3 weeks old. Let's be honest.
If you think about it, when Duke got his head shaved, Indy put the picture on her Twitter as her profile picture. So it just reminded me of that.
Yeah. But and then that leads to a fight between all 4 of the ladies, and then they all get run off. And the last thing we see is the picture. Thoughts on Duke Hudson, Indy, Persia, and the match next week between Indy and Persia and Toxic Attraction? Astrid?
No, I'm excited for the girls match though. I just want to see how they incorporate, like you said, with maybe with Toxic Attraction, how they incorporate Duke next. But yeah, I'm just curious about what happens with them.
Cody?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if we're ever going to move past all of these different relationship angles. Hopefully, Valentine's Day comes and goes, and then we can move past.
Yes,
I mean, we've had Index, now we've got like the whole Persia and Duke thing. We've got the
It's still coming, and I hate it.
Stuff, and we've got, I mean, Toxic Attraction running around flirting with everybody. You've been pitching for a while that you think Bartel and Eichner should be with Gigi and JC, and now we've got possibly Duke Hudson with Gigi and JC,
and then we have X New Crush coming next too.
So then we get to Nikita Lyons, and Ed's night is finally made better because Ed gets to look at Nikita Lyons and hear her talk, and she's fantastic. She still can't rap. I will agree with the internet that she can't rap. She's not good at that. I don't want to say that this character is a throwaway. I don't want to agree with the internet that, oh, look, we had a rapping gimmick with this group called Hit Row, but we got rid of it so we could have this girl do that. No, that's not what's going on here. I like the fact that this week they took it with the fighting style. I would love to see her wrestle. I would love to see her do a wrestle. I can't wait for her to actually get
I had to go back. I saw that earlier, and I was just waiting for us to get to this segment to pull it up just for you.
Yeah. But I absolutely love her. This one was really cool. I liked how they brought up that it was all based around the fighting. You know, she grew up on the road, and she grew up in all these clubs, and she had to learn to defend herself and fight. I like that. Cody, you had one thought about this though that you didn't. Is it one particular line that I must have missed?
I don't even remember what the thought was anymore.
Lion's Roar is the words I remember.
Yeah, because last week in the promo as well, she just, I forget what it is. It's kind of like almost a catchphrase or like a hook or something that she makes about like, I got the Lion's Roar or something, but it feels wrong to me that NJPW right now is putting on a hell of a reality program called Lion's Roar with a behind-the-scenes look into the New Zealand Fale Dojo. And if you haven't been watching it, I absolutely implore you to go out and look at what they've done with that program, because it has given me an all-new respect for Bad Luck Fale, for the Fale Dojo, and for the dojo system in Japan as a whole. And it is just a very well-produced documentary of in the wrestling industry as a whole. And just hearing her using that term when I'm watching something that's using the same term somewhere else in the wrestling industry still feels a little contrived and feels like it might be something that somebody's trying to take a shot somewhere. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's innocent and just a coincidence that the two are using the same term right now, but it feels like it should be something different to me.
Like, I feel like this is something that WWE would have never even thought to realize, because they're like, her name's Nikita Lyons and Lions Roar. Like, they literally went like to the bare basics. Like, we're calling her Lions and lions make a roar. So we're just going to give her the line Lions Roar. Like, I can honestly see it being that innocent where they were just like A, B, C.
It's very possible, but it's also something malicious of WWE, because I wouldn't put it past them either way.
Oh, WWE malicious? They wouldn't. No, they would. I would absolutely do something stupid like that. I wholeheartedly agree. Astrid, your thoughts on Nikita Lyons?
Yeah, I was just like, I didn't want her to rap, so I was really glad there's more focus on the fighting than the rapping this time around. Yeah, just like I kind of want to watch her matches in 205 Live just to get an idea what she would be like in the ring, because I'm just kind of curious with like the Lion's Roar line, how she will be, because I'm like, knowing then that probably be the name of her finisher at the end, most likely. But I wouldn't put it past them with that part. But yeah, I'm just trying to see, wait and see what happens with her next.
We then, as because of course I can't have anything good without having terrible things. We then get Jensen, the most awkward man in the world, trying to ask out Caden Carter. And he can't even bother to do this properly, because he says we as opposed to why don't you and I go out. And now all of a sudden he's been friend zoned because Casey Catanzaro is like, cool, I like group activities. Let's all go out as a group next week. And then Briggs is like, dude, what the hell is going on? He's like, you were supposed to ask her out. And apparently Briggs gets handed about $8 of sweaty money from Jensen to take Casey Catanzaro to the movies, which apparently isn't enough, and I can attest. I don't know.
They get you small popcorn at this point.
I was going to say, I don't know what the theaters are like in Florida, but up here, it costs about $15 for admission to a good movie theater.
Yeah.
Cody, you're muted.
Muting myself because I keep coughing a lung out, and I don't want to have to cough into a microphone. Movie theaters in Canada are actually half price on Tuesday nights, so you can get into a movie for about $7.
There you go. But he's only paying for one ticket then?
Yeah.
We quickly move on from this, unless you guys have any more thoughts about Jensen and Briggs.
As awkward as this is and as hard as it is to watch, I kind of relate to Jensen because
I do too, which is why I
was that guy where you try and like corner a girl to ask her out, but she's always with friends and they always think you mean a group thing. Either that or they do it intentionally because they're friend zoning you. I don't know. But poor Jensen afterwards, when Briggs is giving him crap and he's like, we, she, they, I don't know, it all seemed the same in the moment.
By the way, not only do I hate this because it's cringeworthy in the fact that like it's cringeworthy and it's kind of okay. I am Jensen. Like in general, I am Jensen.
I think we all are.
So it's like I hate this because it's like, here's a mirror. Look at yourself trying to ask girls out. It's like, no, get this away. Bad.
Meanwhile, Briggs is the ladies' man. Like, come on, dude, it's easy. Just walk up and say, I want to take you on a date.
Yeah. We then get MSK versus Team. Oh, wait, no, we get Idris and Blade. MSK versus Idris and Blade.
Team B what?
No, Idris and Blade.
Don't make it happen. No.
MSK wins a fun match. It wasn't great. It wasn't outstanding. It didn't like do anything super, but it was fun. Like Blade and Enofe really kept up with MSK in this match.
And the near fall had me almost convinced.
Oh yeah, there was a couple near falls where I thought that they were going to go with Enofe winning this whole thing and asking out Mandy Rose. There was a couple times I'm like, they're really going to pay that stupid thing off, aren't they?
I didn't expect them to win the tournament, but I said it after the upset in the first round that I thought they could upset their way to the finals and then just get squashed by the Creeds.
MSK, I agree. Supersonic says MSK is awesome. Yeah, MSK is a whole lot of fun. These guys are great. I think we all talked about it, that the spot where none of us quite knew if Carter kicked out or Wesley got there in time. It's cool. Like, at least it's something. No, Tara. I love that you know what the words are, but no. It is Team Idris and Blade, because Astrid doesn't want us talking about the other stuff.
Yes,
Team Idris and Blade. But remember, if you want, down here at the bottom of the screen underneath Cody, get 20% off your Manscaped with free worldwide shipping using the code LOVEWrestling.
If you need to, make sure to Manscape your Idris and Blade.
Yes. But yeah, this was a fun match. I still don't understand MSK's finisher. They've been doing it for about a year now, and I still don't get it.
Yeah, it's something.
It's a finish. Cool. Anybody have any strong thoughts about this match?
No, the other thing that I thought was interesting is that in commentary, Wade was saying how he thought it would be easy for MSK to win the match, and it wasn't. So I like how even he pointed out, he's like, "Oh, I thought this would be like a quick match," and it hasn't been. Like they've really been working them. So I thought that was interesting. Like that, even he said it.
Yeah. I also like that Cody pointed out this in our Slack chat. He goes, "We have this match and the women's title match left, and we only have 30 minutes. How are they going to fit all this in?" I'm like, no, they got time. Like, this match shouldn't take long, and Mandy and Kayla aren't going to go more than 15. And like, because I don't think any Mandy Rose match should be going more than 15 minutes. Like, I love Mandy Rose, but with her talent level, if she's going more than 15 minutes, WWE's telling the really wrong story.
Yeah.
Cody, you were about to say something about this match, though.
Just the near fall there and the Nash possible kick out. What I mentioned in our Slack chat, and I just wanted to bring up too, was how like Wesley came diving in and tried to make the save, and we don't think he actually made it there. But what I was hoping for after seeing the replay of it was that it looked like a situation where Vic and Wade could have played it off that Nash was trying to kick out, and Wesley got his hand on Nash Carter's back right as he was mid kick out. And it felt like a situation where they could have kind of played that off that you may never know, or like, but it looks like Wesley got just enough to push Carter's momentum out of the pin at the last second, something like that. Because they were so convinced, like both Vic and Wade are like, wait, is it over? Was that 3? Like they played it off like they had no clue whether he'd actually kicked out or not. And after seeing the replay, it just felt like a missed opportunity for them that they could have played it off like that. Like, wow, Wes got there at the absolute, like, he just got that hand far enough to just give that extra little bit of momentum to his partner to get out.
Just going to leave this here.
Someone tell Ed.
We then got this really cool babyface promo from Cameron Grimes, with him standing in front of a trailer park and talking about how he started all of this like this, and that he's going to the moon. And he says he would give up all the money and all the big houses and all the cars to win a title. And I wanted to bring up something that Dara Amazing says. We talk about the accomplishments in the earlier segment with the barbershop. Didn't Grimes? Yes. He won a WWE officially recognized title as the $1 million title when he won that match. Much like the FTW title is recognized by AEW, the $1 million title was, for a time period, a recognized championship in NXT. But this was really good. I could never imagine, having watched Cameron Grimes and all the stuff he did in Impact before he got here, and thought, oh, this guy's going to be a killer babyface. But he's doing a really, really good job. And I can't wait for that. That's my match. Like, Braun and Santos is going to be fantastic next week. That cage match is going to be cool. The tag match is going to be killer. I can't wait for Carmelo versus Grimes next week. That match could steal the show.
Good.
I mean, I know they're not Dolph Ziggler, but it could. Your guys' thoughts on Cameron Grimes and his promo?
I mean, it was a smooth promo. It played well with the mellow promo from earlier as kind of a contrasting view of both sides. I think it kind of fit well with what they've been portraying Grimes to be since getting out of this Hudson feud. Set it up well. I didn't think it was anything too crazy that didn't need too much depth, but
Astrid.
I loved it. I loved how they showed in the background while he was talking, like how he had to go from the title, and he's like, I had to adapt, and they showed the zombie ref and things like that before going back to the trailer park. So I like that callback to the little things like that. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was a nice little thing talking about Grimes' career. It really makes me think they're going to put the title on him. I don't want Carmelo losing just yet. I don't think it's the time for him to lose. That being said, it really feels like they want to put this title on Cameron Grimes. We then get a rundown of the card for next week's Vengeance Day. We have MSK versus the Creeds in the Dusty Cup Finals. Indy and Persia face Toxic Attraction in the Women's Tag Team Title Championship match. Carmelo and Grimes are in the North American title match. Dunn and D'Angelo are in a weaponized steel cage match. And Braun and Santos for the NXT Championship. That's a stacked card next week.
Mm-hmm.
We then get...
I won't be here.
Oh, you can't. All right, Astrid, you know who we're calling for next week's show. We've talked about it already. You remember who we were talking about last time, right?
I think so.
All right, put in the word to see if Jay's available.
Mm.
Sorry, Cody.
Yeah.
I'd rather
I
have
hate
you
how
here.
these special events always fall on my night shift. Literally, it is my one night shift, and then I won't have any more night shifts on Tuesdays for like 8 weeks. And it just had to happen this week.
Yeah. The only thing I think about the card is like, I can imagine the card is already stacked, and they had the NXT Women's Championship tonight, and they would have had it that night. Can you imagine how that would have been too on top of it?
I honestly thought that this match was going to end in a screwy finish, and we were going to get like it was going to be like 4 minutes, and then it was going to be a screwy finish, and we were going to get to that. But KLR is backstage with a ladder and her bat, and she starts getting ready to come out doing her championship entrance, which I liked. And then they were going to Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction for her championship entrance. Indy and Persia come out of nowhere and attack Toxic Attraction. Mandy Rose starts trying to get involved. And then Fit Finley. I didn't even know they brought him back. I was so excited to see him, though. Fit Finley backstage telling Mandy Rose to grab her title and get out to the ring. Mandy's like, but no, my girls. And it's at this point that Cody says, well, Mandy should lose because her girls are unavailable, and this should be an easy win for Kaylee Ray. And I was like, well, yes, in theory, that's exactly what should happen. But it's WWE, so obviously none of that means anything. We then get KLR coming out, and then Mandy comes out, and then they do which I still love that they do for championship matches in NXT. They do the spotlight, they do the ring announcer in the ring. Each person gets their own little solo announcement. And then they had I'll dare I say it, they had a fun match. Mandy Rose and KLR had a fun match. I really enjoyed this. There's a lot of back and forth. Mandy felt like it didn't feel like she was being carried in this match. It felt like she was holding her own. There was a lot of submission spots where I thought Mandy was doing well. Her selling was pretty good in this match. I really enjoyed this match. Astrid, your thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time. Just like it felt like she wasn't getting carried, but it's just like you could tell she was learning a lot more with KLR in the ring with her in there. But yeah, at the beginning when I saw that Toxic Attraction was escorted out of the building, I thought this is the night that KLR wins. And this is gonna be. I felt like it would have been a nice surprise though to like swerve everybody and have KLR win out of nowhere like that. That's what I was expecting at least, and that's what I was hoping for as well. But yeah, having Toxic Attraction after they came in, I was like, yeah, she's done. She's not winning it, unfortunately. But yeah, I was hoping they would do some kind of rematch next week and then have KLR win, like at least on a big like special at least. But yeah, I like the match though; it was nice.
We'll save the post match for a minute. We'll just talk about the match for now. We'll do the post match in a minute.
Overall, I enjoyed it though. I feel like it was a little bit more equal this time around with Mandy involved.
Cody, you're still muted, so gotcha.
My throat is still muted sometimes. It was a good match. I don't think Mandy really stood out by any means, but she did what she did well enough. It felt like for a lot of the match, her offense was very much kind of survive. It was a scramble offense. It was a move here, a move there, and then get shot right back down again. It felt like KLR was in control and dominating. Every time Mandy she'd swing like a roll up or get like reverse a move, get one hit or one big move off, and then she was right back in the back seat again. It worked well. Their styles contrasted really well for how they wrestled this match. She sold really well. It was entertaining for what it was, and definitely it felt like KLR was going to win without Gigi and JC there. I did happen when they had the one corner spot when KLR was going up to the corner. You could see in the background what looked like a hooded figure walking up on the ramp there that turned out to be Gigi. And I was trying to decipher if that was just a fan coming back to their seat or if it was actually going to be somebody interfering. And credit to the ladies in the ring. My mind had already forgot that Gigi and JC had been kicked out and wasn't expecting it to be them. I was thinking it was going to be some surprise, somebody else coming out to help Mandy. But no, they went with the typical trope of being kicked out, but not really kicked out. And it worked. So I enjoyed it at the end of the day. for what it provided for me.
It was better than I had anticipated. You know, like we talked about, Mandy Rose is not the most skilled in-ring competitor, but this match felt a whole lot more composed and put together than Dakota and Saray earlier. I really enjoyed this match in comparison to that match, and that surprises me.
I just want to throw out, because AEW gets so much praise for the fact that they never run DQ finishes. When was the last time we actually got a DQ in NXT?
Hold on.
You're gonna make me think.
Like, I don't recall any matches actually ending on a disqualification in at least a couple months. That I think that NXT deserves a little bit more credit for that, for actually giving us finishes, even if they are distraction or, you know, interference finishes where it, you know, it's still a dirty finish and leaves somebody looking strong. They're not going to that typical Raw and SmackDown trope of every match in a DQ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. It is. Huh?
I had to look up in my notes just the letters DQ, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the January 18th. It was Dante Champ versus Guru. I think it ended up in the
Duke Hudson.
Yeah,
Duke Hudson
that was the no contest because Duke.
Yeah, and then the other one that came up, January 11. It was Idris and Malik versus Harlan and Gacy that ended up in the DQ, I believe.
Yeah, because Harlan wouldn't stop. Yeah.
Right. You're right. Harlan has a couple DQs on now because of going nuts and getting DQ'd in that sense. But to me, that's not the same as the DQs we see too often, right?
Yeah.
We have one that went to no contest because he came out and attacked both competitors because he's just pissed off at the world and it was nothing to do with extending a feud or anything like that. And we have the other one where it's just Harlan being an unstoppable monster. So I guess, yes, we've had more than I remembered off the top of my head, but they're different than what we see on main roster.
And they're so few and far between, as in like they're not every match or every couple matches, that it doesn't feel like it's something that happens all the time.
It's also constant. So.
After this match, KLR is getting beaten down by Toxic Attraction, and Gigi and JC have her held by the arms, and Mandy has the bat. No, I'm sorry. Mandy and Gigi have her held by the arms, and JC has the bat. They switch it around to let JC and Gigi hold her, and Mandy has the bat, and she's talking trash, and she's about to hit her with it, when all of a sudden, Io Shirai pops out. And Io Shirai comes down to save. And it was at this point that I remembered the key words that Zoe had said in the promo earlier. You need somebody as crazy as you, willing to put their body on the line. And I'm like, now it all makes perfect sense. She's coming for KLR. And they go ahead and they start running off Toxic Attraction. KLR hits the KLR bomb. Mandy gets to the outside, and Io and KLR stand strong. And we have, I've been saving this comment for this point. Sonic says, oh boy, the ending was a huge missed opportunity having Io Shirai. Should have kept the surprise to next week. Besides, we could have seen Io Shirai and Asuka teaming up together on national television. I get that everyone on Twitter is upset, but I'd like to see Asuka and Io as a tag team. I would too. I thought that there might have been a chance for Asuka, but Asuka's probably going to be the sixth woman in the chamber. I don't think she's coming back to NXT. And more importantly, if she is coming back to NXT, she's not losing because she's never lost there. So I think if they're bringing her back, they're bringing her back for something very important. And unfortunately, a tag team with Io just isn't that. Thoughts on the close of the show with the way the show finished with Io Shirai coming out, the idea of an Io Shirai versus Kaylee Ray tag team.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Like I was already, when she said it, I was kind of expecting it a little bit earlier than when it happened. So, but I had a feeling it was going to be with KLR after the way the match was ending. But yeah, I'm glad it's with them because that's a cool tag team to watch. and basically tells us that Zoe's still not ready to be part of the Dusty Cup. So we'll see when she returns officially.
Yeah,
Cody?
we weren't sure where those two were going, right? Because they were part of the 4-woman team at War Games with Cora and Raquel. And then when Cora and Raquel got the triple threat with Mandy, you had the tag match first with Cora and Raquel against KLR and EO. And then we didn't see EO on TV for a little bit. And that's when the speculation started coming up that maybe she was going up to the main roster. And I speculated that maybe we were headed towards EO and KLR as potentially feuding for, number one contender for the next to get Mandy. Obviously, we didn't get that. Just KLR took the shot for herself, and EO faded off into obscurity until it was time to come back. We've seen them together before. They've teamed together. That tag team match that they had with Cora and Raquel was a hell of a match. The 4 women worked well as a team on the War Games show. That I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be an interesting way to go about things. I don't know if they'll end up in a match against Cora and Raquel again, but that could be fun to revisit that. More than likely, though, one of those two teams will be knocked out before the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about the teams that we have in the Dusty Women's Classic, I'm going to go over the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. We got Leon and Perez. We've got Cora and Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
We've got EO and KLR. We're going to have Toxic Attraction, most likely. You have KC Squared.
Mm.
You have
Indian
Persian
Princess.
Indy. You're probably going to have Tiffany Stratton and somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And probably Wendy Chu and somebody.
Wendy Chu and somebody.
There's 8 right there. That's all we had in the men's.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, and for people who are still out there, trying to find a tag team, we've got Dakota Kai still floating out there that I think she's going to be in this tournament at some point on somebody's team.
Dakota and Wendy. Kai Chu.
I really think when you posted that in the Slack chat, I really think that's where we're ending up. Because they had a segment, I didn't write it down in here, but after Dakota lost to Saray, there is another segment backstage where Wendy's sitting on her box and she's sipping her thing and she goes, "It's not so easy, is it?" And she walks away. Yep. You've made a Fanandara. Kaichu.
Kaichu. I think Saray's probably going to end up on a team somewhere too. Maybe we end up with Saray and Stratton. I don't know.
What about Saray and Shu and Stratton and Dakota?
Maybe.
I just think it'd be weird to have Dakota doing all of the stuff around this tag team tournament and not being in it.
Mm-hmm.
Can Wendy Chu get a Saray style medallion that turns her into Mei Ying when she comes up for her entrance?
Can we forget about Mei Ying because we haven't seen Boa in 3 weeks and I love it?
It's only 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks.
I don't care.
We also haven't seen Solo in 2 weeks.
That makes me sad. I like Solo Sikoa, but at least I haven't had to see Boa.
Also, Solo Sikoa put an ominous, vague tweet up last week, counting down to Mania.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling.
Yeah, he also tweeted about the next victim too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who's next? Colbert. But we're not talking about that show. We're talking about NXT. Next week's show is going to be a whole lot of fun. You can catch Astrid and I apparently chatting about next week's show.
I'm working on it.
Cody will be in the comments giving us his thoughts there. Yes. Cody, we love having you here. We want you here every week.
Work schedules be damned.
I know. Work schedules make it hard.
I don't have one of those real life jobs with a Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I have to work the shift work and deal with what I've got.
Maybe we do this show on a Wednesday at say 8 p.m. sounds good. And just see what's there. Is there nothing else on a Wednesday at 8?
Wednesday at noon.
I mean, I can make that happen. That's not a problem. I can take an hour out of work to talk about this show.
It never will be consistent for me. It doesn't matter what day or time we do it on. I'm always going to have 2 out of every 8 weeks where it won't work for me. So As
That
much as I
being
love
said,
being on here, I just can't be here consistently.
we're going to go ahead and plug a whole bunch of stuff here. So give me a moment while I get the thing up. Remember that you can get support from Love Wrestling by going to RK Athletics 1. RK Athletics 1 is the home of Rich King and all of the fine personal training he does in the Edmonton, Alberta area. He is a fantastic pro wrestler and bodybuilder in that area. He wrestles for RCW, I believe, among other promotions. He had a feud with Chris Parrish just recently. Parrish is unfortunately feeling under the weather, but hopefully he'll be back in the ring sooner rather than later. Rich King just launched, I know, a new thing of shirts. So go ahead and check out RK Athletics 1 on Facebook and Twitter and find out all the fun things that Rich King can do for you and getting you ready for the summer, because we're getting ready for that summer body season. It's sad. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/lovewrestlingca, where you can catch all of our content, including NXT, Powerrrout, Mark and Friends, the Turnbuckle Talk, our friends is Carl at Turnbuckle Talk, and all the other and all those other shows that are on Love Wrestling, including Poetry of a Promo and The Legacy of, and
every Monday it appears we're releasing new matches from the Change the Game event.
Yes, we are. This week we had Zoe
Sager versus Casey Spinelli, was not?
Yes, I believe that was this week's episode. You can also find us live for anything we do live, including our Saturday blowing off streams at twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca. This week you would have caught Chris Parrish, Astrid, Cody, and Alex playing Among Us, and I believe some Jackbox.
Some Jackbox first, yep.
Yeah.
We tried to play some Among Us, but mostly I just, ran the game and convinced everybody that I was innocent all the time.
Remember that you can get 20% off your and free shipping from manscaped.com. MANCAPED. Yes, we have a new episode of Astrid Ask that just started airing. I believe that was last week? It aired last Saturday?
Like 2 weeks now.
2 weeks ago Saturday.
Same week that Friend and Foe came out.
Yes, and Friend and Foe is going to have a new episode sometime in the near future.
It is. The next guest is still a surprise, but I can give a hint that he has just been announced for his first match back on the show for this coming weekend. So if you're in the know and in the scene, you will know who I'm talking about, or you can probably diagnose it.
Remember that you can get all of your Love Wrestling shirts at whatamaneuver.net/collections/love-wrestling-ca. But more importantly, if you're there and you're searching for shirts, this is the shirt you need to buy. Forget getting anything with beards. Forget anything with Josh Robinson. Focus on the natural, Astrid Pizarro. You can get it in blue, red, white, black, gray. You can get it in a hoodie. You can get it in a tank top. You can get it for your kids. You can probably get something for your dog. It's fantastic. So go to whatamaneuver.net/love/wrestling. No, I'm sorry. whatamaneuver.net/collections/love-wrestling-ca. Sorry, I was doing that one blind and I forgot. Most importantly, remember that you can also go to lovewrestling.ca/shop. Buy the tumbler, buy the Sunday brunch mug.
The Live, Laugh, and Love Wrestling shirt.
The Live, Laugh, and Love Wrestling shirt that Zach has to eat more hot sauce and things like that. Make sure you tweet that one at him just to try to see if we can get him to eat some more hot sauce. I mean, maybe he'll shave more hair. Oh, no, he doesn't have any hair left to shave. That one was a low blow. I shouldn't have done that one. That one was nice. Speaking of fun things coming up.
I'll shave my hair.
There you go. Cody, you got the big screen while you're talking about your beautiful hair. Tell us what else you've got going on. Do we have a topic that you can give us for this upcoming episode of Friend or Foe?
It will be talking about wrestling.
Ooh, that's a variety.
No, it's going to be a fun episode of the Friend or Foe show coming up. No solid details or preview material quite yet. It's still in the planning and processing and recording stages. But it is going to be a really fun guest, a really fun conversation. Keep an eye peeled. Give a follow at Cody Defoe on the Twitter. You can also give me a follow at the Friend and Foe Show on Twitter and Instagram. I believe Twitter is without a W at the end of show, though, so it's the Friend and Foe Show.
Show!
The Friend and Foe Show and yo. That's it for me.
Sorry, I was like, I think he's done, and then I went to Astrid. He started talking again. I'm like, oh crap, did I miss something? Astrid, your turn. Big screen.
I mean, you said most of my stuff. You know, we have Astrid Asks on Twitch, on YouTube, so you can watch both of the episodes so far. In the planning stages for my next one. The shirt, look how lovely it is. It's beautiful. I'm gonna order mine soon too. Yeah, aside from that, just watch out for the Love Wrestling socials, because you never know what I'm gonna be up to next. This is just a hint, I guess, of what's coming up. You never know. So yeah, there might be some changes coming up, so we'll see about that. But yeah, other than that, my Twitter, which is Astrid Pizarro, and that will be it.
I'm really touchy with these buttons tonight.
Yep.
You can find me right. Oh no, over here. You can find me right here at edfries12584 on Twitter. I can now confirm that when WWE 2K22 comes out, it will be me and Tom Collihu on twitch.tv/Tom Collihu, going ahead and doing all kinds of GM mode for competitive GM mode, where I will be taking the reins of NXT. I don't know what Tom plans on taking the reins of. I'm calling NXT now. Hopefully that will be okay with him, because we haven't fully figured this one out yet, but we're going to have some fun doing that. You can also find me co-hosting here every week with Astrid and Cody, and sometimes a special guest, as we talk about all things NXT following Powerrrout. See, I told you, Astrid. When you have me and Cody, you say it's better because Cody keeps me focused. I say it's more off the rails because I have somebody else to help me get off track with.
Too many thoughts.
Yeah.
But with that, thank you for tuning in, and love wrestling. Bye.